It's just fantastic. Captain's log, subdates 220324.9. I've noticed an increase in Twitter applications for NPC crew roles. This is good. Extra photon cannon fodder is hard to find. So while we work through these applicants, I've ordered Dorkita to give those that are Koof infected a culling Hannibal style. Less mess for us after all. Welcome everyone to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we're going to start with a company that operates not so far from where I live, a company called PINO Ferries. They have 4 main routes in the United Kingdom. This would include Dover to Calais, which is the most well known, Hull to Rotterdam, Liverpool to Dublin, and 2 made-up places. They have managed to earn themselves a considerable amount of flack because they've exploited a law which has caused much shifting of blame from everyone involved. So what happened? PINO Ferries made all its crew members redundant with immediate effect, handing them P45s and simply saying, "Get your stuff out of your cabins and get off our boats," to then replace them with agency staff, which on the face of it makes very little sense. In the United Kingdom, anyone that works for a company like PINO Ferries is paid a living wage. If you pay for an agency worker in the UK, they're paid minimum wage, but the agency gets almost double that, meaning that there is no money being saved. Don't worry, PINO Ferries have found a way to save money. Now, the reasons this happened is because PINO has had a number of issues with unions over pay for staff. Another reason is because they had offered the staff less pay to be in line with that of the agency workers for the same job and the same work, which is basically the first one but further explained, although to be honest, it's a second reason. I think we can all agree on that. Another reason concerns a law, a loophole in one, a gap that wasn't closed off. That gap, according to a maritime lawyer, was entirely the fault and signed off by the former Transport Secretary Chris Grayling. Chris Grayling is the quintessential conservative muppet. He was known for his incompetence while in office. He was known for not providing suitable information to opposition so as to question him properly. He was known for leaking information, and he was known for bungling. That bold tosspot is entirely at fault here. It is the same loophole that has allowed PINO to not notify the UK government about their intention to do this, because under UK law, you have to do that otherwise. When you fire 800 people from their jobs, and you receive government funding through a number of ways, yes, you need to disclose things. But thanks to Chris Grayling, no they didn't, which meant this happened, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. The workers they've been replaced with have come from other areas of Europe where they don't have to pay minimum wage. The government is currently considering legal action against PINO for an unlawful dismissal of 800 people, many of whom just want their jobs back. That's all they want. But the government has dawdled on this one already. It's been nearly a week after all. PINO have a reputation for bad ideas, poor decisions, and equally bad spending tactics. While the money is tight, they've been busy investing it in adverts all over the place, which seems like a reasonable one, but also then throwing tens of millions, which you can assume came from the taxpayer anyway, at a Renault Formula One team. Why? That money could have gone towards paying for the staff that are loyal to you and will continue to be loyal to you. Well, they would have, had you not fired them. When I was watching PMQs yesterday, streamed on Moistski Live, link down below if you're interested, I got quite cross with this, because Boris's response was to not address the company by their name, but to allude that the government was going to do things with reviews and summaries and investigations, which Keir Starmer has rightly pointed out he is the leader of the opposition, who will in 2 years' time campaign to replace Boris as Prime Minister. Keir Starmer pointed out that doesn't deal with the issue, does it? And that those reviews, in many other instances, went for years. There are former employees of PINO who had worked for them for over 30 years, who were made to feel like criminals because when they were told to leave, they were just escorted off that boat. a place that they had worked on for decades. And all because the workers' rights in this instance were non-existent, which is very strange. But considering it's the Conservative government, hardly a shocker. By the way, just going to insert this now, Labour are no better, 0-hour contracts. That was their thing, and I didn't support that either. There was a vote in Parliament on Monday to remove the ability to hire and fire people like that. The Conservatives abstained. Just thought I'd add that in before we move on to another ridiculous story. As the next story tickled me to no end, I want to stay within the realm of politics, but more notably a former politician. His name is John Bercow. He was originally a Conservative MP for some place in London, probably Westminster. He then went on to become Speaker for 10 years. He was embroiled in a scandal because of bullying claims. And when he left office, he was not the most popular person. It is normal and customary for former speakers to be given a life peerage. He was not. Boris was salty enough about how Bercow was biased towards Brexit that he didn't grant it. So off he trotted, a little bit disgraced. More recently, he was forever shamed because it came out that he had in fact bullied members of Parliament and staff. So he was banned from Parliament for life. It wasn't that long ago that John Bercow had switched sides from Conservative to Labour. I keenly await Labour's response to this whole bullying scandal. While being found to be a serial liar and a serial bully by the parliamentary watchdog, during Corona Chan, John Bercow was found out to be somebody that had a considerable amount of money in the bank, not a huge amount, but enough for someone like myself, a lowly oik, to live on for the rest of his life, to claim expenses for his company Fedhead Limited. John's company is what he usually uses to funnel his payments for public speaking. It's a way of reducing taxes. It's clever, right? Well, John actually furloughed his wife and claimed for every single month in the category of between £1,000 to £10,000 to pay for his furloughed wife, which has angered a lot of people because Bercow is known for having well over £400,000 in the bank. Now, I personally don't take issue with anyone claiming the money if they need the money. In this instance, did he really need it, or was he merely trying to protect his savings, which, considering what savings are meant to be for, this surely would have applied and therefore he would not have needed to apply for furlough. It does raise a rather interesting debate. When the opportunity on 5 separate occasions arose for me to claim for the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme allowance, I think I claimed 3 times. And that was because I lost all my work and threw myself into YouTube, but I wasn't certain if I could make it. The last 2 I could apply for, I decided no, I didn't need them, so I didn't bother. And at that point, I had well and truly eroded all of my savings, something which is currently being rebuilt slowly. Give me all your money on Patreon, it'll help me. I'll take over the world. So when people write articles criticizing John Bercow for this, I can understand why there's a point to it. If you have the money, do you really need to claim the money? Bear in mind the burden of paying that back is now on the taxpayer, and since you're siphoning your money through a company, your taxes are quite low already. Oh, and I just want to add this as well. John Bercow receives an annual salary pension of £35,000 a year, yet somehow you needed to claim between £1,000 and £10,000 every month for several months. Somebody's cost of living is a bit high, don't you think? No offense intended, but I don't believe you needed the money, and I can't be the only person that doesn't think you did. Perhaps we should move away from politics. Let's do that. So now I'd like to talk about Disney. They own everything, but it's okay, it's not a monopoly, everyone. But they own everything, and if they don't own everything yet, don't worry, they'll own that soon too. But it's not a monopoly. Disney owns Star Wars, as many of you know, and of course because Star Wars is huge on the merch circuit, in that everything is collectible. Even if it's limited number, it's in the tens of thousands, which means it's valuable. Okay. Disney had decided to pounce on a trend. The trend is to create a hotel of sorts. This one is for Star Wars. It is called the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel. How exciting. It has 100 rooms, and according to the calendar on its own website, with guests being able to pick the dates through the second half of 2022 to stay in the hotel, with the rooms going for between $5,000 and $20,000 for a suite, they are struggling to fill 100 rooms. Who'd have believed it? Most of the people that are really into Star Wars are the types that sell their collectible merch at car boot sales or, for the Americans, yard sales. Still in mint condition in their packaging, it's not even pockmarked. Oh my god, take my money. Star Trek is better. This Orlando-based Star Wars hotel, which opened on the 1st of March, has faced backlash by Disney World fans over the sky-high room rates, food costs, and Star Wars-themed extras like a private portrait session with a photographer. The thing is, as much as fans would love to go to a thing like this, there are too many zeros on those prices. The average Star Wars fan can't afford that, and you're not going to get many celebrities to go to it, not least because many of them no doubt know the actors and actresses who are in the more recent trilogy, who have well and truly dunked on it for being shat on as actors and actresses. Let's just ignore the story, shall we? It's quite tragic. Am I the only one that now thinks, just for the sake of it, The Last Jedi is the best one of all of them? I bet that triggered someone. I haven't even watched it. Don't try me. Star Trek is better. Disney had, when they were promoting this hotel, put a video out on Twitter and YouTube. Understandably, people commented underneath, the lightsaber training looks about as exciting as a roadside sobriety test. Others pointing out that it is way too expensive. The New York Times got a preview of the hotel, and it laid out some of the egregious additional costs that guests can expect to pay outside of the basic experience fee. For example, for one beer, you can be expected to pay $13. Is it served by Salt Bay? $11 and up for wine, $23 for specialty drinks. And for Star Wars themed extras, the minimum rate is $99 to hire a photographer or to sit at the head of the captain's table in the Star Cruiser's Crown of Corellia. You'll need to cough up an extra $30. This isn't a waste of money, it's an investment, everyone. Based on this picture with these windowless bunker rooms, honestly, you'd be better off getting one of those coffin rooms in those hotels in Japan. And while the character actors who are in this hotel are doing a stellar job, something which has been praised by others already, I don't think it really covers the cost of something so bloody expensive when you could take your children camping for a whole lot less. You could also more than likely save yourself some money by making one of those rooms, no doubt for a lower cost than what it actually costs for you to stay there for one night. What an absolute joke. Disney, tell me you want to rob your customers without telling me you want to rob your customers. So for our next story, this was seen via Sugar Tits on Twitter. We'll link her Twitter down below. She's really cool. Go give her a follow. Oh hell no. News article from news.com.au. Woman catches boyfriend's mum watching her sleep. Well, already we're off to a stellar start, aren't we, folks? A woman was left stunned after catching her boyfriend's mother sneaking into her bedroom as she slept before whispering a series of chilling things. The person in question, the girlfriend, is a TikToker, and she has shared multiple clips on the platform explaining that she thought the threats were coming from a ghost until she installed a motion detecting camera in her room. The video then picked up the woman, boyfriend's mother, standing over her as she slept while whispering hateful things. So what did she say? In some of the clips, she was simply told that she was ugly, that she was hated, along with curse words that the person did not want to repeat, along with being wished that she was unalived. That mother is perfect in-law material, because they don't generally like the girlfriend, do they? No, they must protect the boy. He must have a princess or a queen, I can never remember which. Clearly you are far too much of a plebeian muggle-born for them. Near the end of the article, there is an interesting little detail that the girl in question has yet to confront her boyfriend's mother, who she's also indicated is only living in her house after she recently left prison. That explains how she got around the house without being noticed. She's used to sneaking and claiming territory and threatening people. She's got to look strong in the yard for the rest of the boys. When it comes to an individual's personal space, when it comes to an individual's life choices, relationships, you, the mother of one of those people, should not be behaving in such a way. You should be supportive of them, especially if they're giving you a roof over your bloody head. You should not be making threats of unaliving, nor should you be, let's say, two-faced, because as is mentioned by the girlfriend who busted you, even though you don't know that yet, although if you've seen the article, now you do, you only have a place to stay because of them. That could easily be revoked, and the girlfriend could just go and show the video to her boyfriend and see how willing he is to put up with you going forward. If, by the way, he is really willing to keep you around, something tells me he has some really, really big problems over attachment to mum. Maybe he wants some bitty, which I won't deny. I can understand the conflict, but if he did in that instance choose to, let's say, protect mother, it's definitely about the bitty. The next subject I'd like to cover concerns a TikTok user who is being accused of faking a condition. In a 5-minute 50-second video that was shared to Facebook that my sister sent to me, we have a user who is allegedly faking having Tourette's, and it has caused a bit of a divide. The video in question goes into detail along with providing some receipts. One of those receipts comes from the sister of the user who claims to have Tourette's, with the sister saying, no, she does not. She does not have Tourette's, and is merely using Tourette's to push her own, let's say, agenda. The agenda being she is everything that she is not. As a consequence of those accusations that piled up against that user has since gone on to delete everything. Scorched earth, which to many will come across as a sign of guilt. I'm not entirely sure. There are many that believe the user in question, before they deleted everything, did suffer from a form of involuntary tics. But what I do think many people are forgetting is, if someone is faking it, they believe their lie enough that it becomes a form of real. That doesn't mean it's Tourette's. It's psychosomatic. It's a placebo. They've believed something they've done. You'd have to prove that they have Tourette's. One of the other receipts that was used, that was shown in that video debunking this claimed Tourette's person, came from a doctor's insurance blah blah letter. But when it was traced back to the wrong places, and the logo did not match up to the company they claimed it came from. It's a bit sus. So when you then start to talk about involuntary tics, the problem with that is you've moved away from the one piece of evidence that truly debunks everything else in favor of, yes, but what if? We don't operate with what ifs. We operate with what is known and what can be proven true or not. The evidence does not support. And because the user has gone scorched earth, there is now no way of confirming, denying, debunking beyond what we have on record before it was all erased. If you are somebody that is trying to stand out, and to do so you make a mockery of someone else's mental health conditions by pretending you have it, you are a really shitty person. There are some people online that have managed to become a great success, and they also happen to have Tourette's. In some instances, I'm sure their Tourette's played a part, but I don't think for most of those that I've noticed, they've made it their defining feature, which might well be why they also succeeded. Don't make a mockery of mental health like that. And if you do come back online, perhaps an apology would be a great way to start. To the final subject, we're going to talk about somebody that Cecil McFly has covered, called Narcissa Wright. This should be fun. Narcissa Wright is a literal living legend online. I believe Zelda is the game. Falling apart and becoming one of the biggest hot messes online is her game. Narcissa rose to fame through the Ocarina of Time video game. Speedrunning was a thing to the point where there were audiences around watching her absolutely smash records. Narcissa was taking a 4-year hiatus from Twitch to focus on other things. More notably, a ban in 2018. Recently, she had been streaming mostly in the Just Chatting and Breath of the Wild categories. Well, this didn't last long because she got banned again for breaching terms of service, which then led to Narcissa on Twitter to say, "I want to kill myself and shoot people at the Twitch HQ, ha ha ha." Thing is, she wrote that before her ban. I wonder if this had anything to do with why she was banned. But we do actually know what happened. But I'm going to tell you about the original ban. In 2018, she was banned for breaching TOS on nudity and sexual content. The new one came from opening a link that had content breaching some part of Twitch's terms of service. Now, we don't know yet if this is a perma-ban or if this is a temporary ban. Twitch don't really allude to a period of time of your ban. They're not the best at communicating. I'm very vocal on this. Not that any of that in any way justifies threatening to shoot the people at Twitter head office, even as a joke. Pick your moments, it's not the smartest one, and I'll be honest, if your ban is indefinite, I can't help but wonder if it had anything to do with the fact that Twitch have a policy that says, things that you do online on alternate platforms, we're gonna monitor. Although I could be wrong. I just found it fascinating after a 4-year break from streaming on Twitch anyway, you come back and land yourself an indefinite suspension. So while on Twitter you've said you're not entirely sure what happened, everyone was cool, you don't know what happened, I find it very hard to believe that you have no idea what happened. Now if you do want to know more about Narcissa Wright, I'm going to link Cecil's video. It is comprehensive. It's very well done. Also, sorry for the lack of editing at the end of this video. I have to go and do overtime now. I'm very sorry about that. As a final thing, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch tonight. If I don't see you there, have a fantastic day. Thank you very much for joining. Smash the like, leave a comment. Ta-ta, everyone.